Welcome back to the Solutions Lab. I'm Chris Phillips, D&H's Solutions and Presales Team Lead. Today, more than ever, your customer's network is one of the most vital parts of their business. It controls their client systems in the back, their POS system in the front, their security, whether it be physical or network. So the setup and maintenance of that network is of vital importance to you, because if there's any downtime within that customer's network, that is lost revenue for that customer. And because of that, many network vendors have started to develop tools to help make your lives as a VAR or MSP easier to set up and manage and maintain your customer's network. And they've been doing this through software they developed with their hardware for management, whether it be a management portal of some kind or some way to remotely access your customer's network, giving you the ability to be able to react to all your customers' needs before, during, and after a network occurrence has happened. The problem with these platforms and these portals are, for the most part, all of them are pretty costly. And because of that, a lot of our MSP customers are telling us that their customers don't have the money for the monthly or yearly licenses per device to run all these platforms. And it's understandable. Because of this, however, NETGEAR developed their Insight platform. The Insight platform has been NETGEAR's answer to a management portal that helps give you all the management and setup options you need as a VARs MSP without the large licensing fees that are normally attached to that. And to start, the Insight portal began in a very basic format. It was a management portal attached to mobile devices, whether it be Android or iOS, with an app that you could use to manage a variety of different network switches and APs and their readiness systems, and allowed you to at least get some basic management tools in place. However, that platform was limited to just the app. Fast forward a couple months, and then the last webcast we had with Trevor Schubert, where NETGEAR introduced the Insight Premium platform, which added a web portal to the mobile app, but also some premium features that were missing from the basic, setting up VLANs and setting up captive portals and things of that nature. And these were all great, welcome additions, but they still left things to be desired in terms of the VAR and MSP play, specifically when it came to managing multiple customers from a single pane of glass. And that is why we're here today. We're here today to talk about the next iteration of NETGEAR's Insight platform, which is Insight Pro. Insight Pro allows the ability for MSPs and VARs to manage multiple customer locations from a single pane of glass, as well as adding multiple users to that management portal to spread out the management load across a number of different technicians. So if an MSP has 12 customers, instead of having only one technician that can log into that platform, you can now set up 8 to 10 technicians to log in and be able to manage and upkeep those networks all at once. As well as all that, the Insight Pro platform differs from the Premium platform because it is now only available through the distribution market, making it easier for you as an MSP or VAR to charge your management fees on top of the license fees for Insight Pro. So I want to get started and show you the updates that they've been made to Insight Pro. But before we do all that, what I want to do is migrate the work we have done on Insight Premium in the last webcast with Trevor over to Insight Pro. And once we do the migration process, then we'll dive deeper into the Insight Pro platform, take a look at the web portal, we'll set up some users, and we'll set up a brand new customer within that platform. So let's go ahead and go into the Insight Premium platform, and we're going to go ahead and migrate that over to Insight Pro. So here we are in the Insight Premium dashboard, and as you can see, we have our single customer, single location that we set up in the original webcast. And what we're going to do is go ahead, we're going to port this over to Insight Pro so we don't lose any of our settings that we have on our APs, our SSIDs, any of the VLANs that we have currently set up. As you can see, we have 2 APs currently set up. We have our single switch, and we also have a single NAS device. And on the wireless side, we also have our access points. We have our SSIDs set up. We have our NAS set up as well with all of our storage needs. So what we want to do is go ahead and just take all of this information, and we're going to port it all over from Premium to Pro. So to start, we're going to go over here, and I already have an email of the license we purchased for Insight Pro, and I'm going to go ahead and take this license key, I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to go to the NETGEAR Insight registration page, which is insight.netgear.com/hashtag/registration. We're going to go ahead and click on the verification line here. We're going to paste in our license, and then we're going to hit next. And now it's going to take us up to the NETGEAR Insight Pro sign-up page. And to start, we're actually just going to put the email address we had when we registered for the Premium dashboard. And once we hit enter, it's going to go, hey, you already have a basic or premium account. Would you like to upgrade? And of course we'd like to upgrade. So we're going to go ahead and click yes here. And then we're going to continue to fill out all the information as we would normally. We'll put in our password, we'll put in our first and last name, and our country. All right, now it's going to ask us whether we are a managed service provider or we're a small business owner. We, of course, are Inspiring MSP, so we're going to go ahead and click Managed Service Provider. We're going to put in our business name, which we're going to call D&H Solutions and Services. We're going to continue just filling out the rest of the information as well, the address and all that good stuff. So we're going to go ahead and no, I don't want any of the promotional information, but yes, I agree to your terms and services, and then we're going to go ahead and sign up. Okay, so now we're at the organizational screen, and this is where we're actually going to port over our premium information into the Insight Pro dashboard. So I'm going to go ahead and click the lab switch location, and I'm going to add a new organization. I'm going to call this organization DHSSHQ. We'll add the organization. We're going to go ahead and then click on the organization, and we're going to add the lab switch to that organization and hit submit. Okay, now that location has been added to the organization, and it's going to port over all the settings and all the features we had set up originally into the Insight Pro dashboard. And here we are in the Insight Pro dashboard with our new customer organization, and our location is in the dashboard ready to go. So it was just that easy to migrate the premium setup over to Insight Pro. So what we're going to go ahead and do now is jump into the Pro dashboard. I've already set up another location. We're going to go ahead and take a look at what a multi-location customer looks like. And we're also going to take a look at managers and see what it looks like to set up some of those and what their purpose is in the dashboard. So let's go ahead and jump into the Insight Pro dashboard now. So here we are at the organizational page for the Insight Pro dashboard. And we have our DHSSHQ organization that we just set up. And I'm going to go ahead and jump into it, and we have the lab switch that we ported over from Insight Premium and a new location that I set up. It's the downriver location that we're going to have a couple techs located out of. And as you can see, the lab switch still has the 4 devices that we had connected to it, and I connected a switch and a access point to our downriver, and everything's online and looking good. So we can go ahead and from an organizational view, take a look at all the devices that are part of our organization, and it's a real basic list of the access points and switches that are part of our organization, what the type of network equipment they are, and where they're located. But I'm going to go ahead and then jump down below it and go to the managers. And as you can see, right now we have one manager that's attached to this organization. It's Trevor Schubert. managers allow us to assign different people that are not admins to log into the Insight Pro dashboard and manage the setup and maintenance of a organization's network without viewing other organizations' network. So if I want to have Trevor Schubert only focused on the DHSS HQ organization, I can go ahead and have him only focus on that one and then set up a different manager to manage all my other customers' organizations. And we'll take a look at that in a little bit. But what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to jump down to policies and kind of show you what the policies look like at an organizational level. And these are who will get notifications, who are managers or admins or business owners of this organization. So right now I have it set up so only the admin, well, that would be me, for this organization will be receiving email notifications. Trevor and myself will receive push notifications on our mobile devices. I can also set that up so the business owner of this organization, whether it's the customer or owner or the owner of DHSS HQ, can receive those notifications as well. We can tell the Insight platform who owns the devices. Right now we own the devices, and how often we want to get reports and who should get those reports. So it's really basic features to kind of allow you to see who has visibility into your network. But I'm going to jump back up here to the top left and go to my organizational view, because I want to add a brand new manager. So when I'm at the organization view, and you can tell by saying all organizations, I'm going to click on manager. And right now we have 2 managers as part of our group. I've got good old Jimmy Sales, who showed up in the last webcast, and I've got Trevor. I'm going to add one more. And all you really need is basic information. We're going to set up John Smith. And that's really all the information you need, his name and his email. And after you hit send to invite him to the dashboard, it's going to send an email to him prompting him to create a login. And once he's created his own login, he'll have access to all the organizations you give him. I can either tell him to have all organizations. Right now we only have one. And I can also have him grant him access to all future organizations. So if John's going to be my tech that can see all of my organizations, I'm going to grant him access to this organization, the DHSS, and all future organizations. We're going to go ahead and hit invite, and it is just that easy to set up a brand new manager. And when he logs into his email and sees the invite, he can complete the process. So it's pretty easy to set up new managers to help manage the network. Let's take a look at how they'll be managing the network. We're going to jump into our DHSS organization and do a little bit of management. Then we're going to add a brand new customer to the dash. So back on the organization page, we're going to click back into DHSS. And what we want to do is then click on the location we're looking to manage. And we'll click into the lab switch here in the solutions lab. And we can get all the information we had in the premium dashboard here. The number of APs are back, number of switches. We can also take a look at the number of NASs. We don't have any clients connected right now. But all the basic information that we had before is still here. We can check the wireless status. We can check our wired PoE usage, our network traffic, things in that nature to keep ourselves in the know of everything that's happening on the network. Same with storage and all that stuff before. Nothing's really changed that much, but what we want to do is go ahead and in this dashboard, go ahead and set up a brand new customer so we can expand our business, because we just added one to our portfolio, and we want to set up that customer's network. So we go back to the organization page. We're going to go ahead and click the plus button up here in the top left to add a new organization. And just like adding a manager or adding a new organization is pretty simple, you don't need a ton of information. So we're going to go ahead and get that started. And the new organization we're going to be managing is Bill's Pizza. And we can either pick an existing owner or we can add a brand new owner. We're going to add a brand new owner, and that owner is going to be Bill Hirsch. And we're going to add, put in his email, bill@billspizzapa.com. We can put in a phone number, business phone number if we'd like, but we're just going to kind of move past that for now. And now we can kind of set up those organizational policies that we saw before for DHSS for Bill's Pizza as we go from now. And I'm going to set it up pretty similar to DHSS, only the admin is going to be getting emails. I am going to send the email email reports, the weekly reports, to all parties, admins, the business owner, which would be Bill, and the manager. And I'm going to send push notifications to myself and the manager I set up for this account. Go ahead and click Save. And it was just that easy. We've successfully created the organization Bill's Pizza within the Insight Pro dashboard. So now this is starting to see where Insight Premium and Pro differ. Because right now I've added a new organization and I have 2 customers that I'm managing from a single dashboard. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to actually set up all the information we want to set up for Bill's Pizza before we add any hardware to the organization. And then once we got all the settings we'd like, then we'll add the hardware to it, and we'll show how that hardware will immediately grab all the settings we've added to it without us having to actually physically do any hands-on configuration of that hardware. So here we are back at the organization page, and we're going to go ahead and click on Bill's Pizza because we want to get that configuration started. And as you can see, it's very similar to what we saw on the DHSS HQ page. We just don't have any locations. We do have a manager, however. John Smith has been automatically added as the manager of this location because, as we did and showed in the setup, John Smith is going to become the manager of all future organizations we set up within the Insight Pro dashboard, so we didn't need to add him. Had we not had a manager, there would have been a big red warning flag telling us to add a manager because they highly recommend that you add a manager to every organization. So to get started, the first thing we need to do is add Bill's Pizza's first location. So in the location tab here, I'm going to go ahead and click Add Location in the right-hand side over here. We're going to name the location. This is their 7th Street location. We're going to set up a device admin password for all the devices that are going to be connected to this organization. So this will be automatically applied to any switches, access points, routers, ready NASs, whatever NETGEAR device we add to this organization, it will have that admin password automatically applied to it. I'm going to fill in just the rest of the required information. It's also very important to make sure that the country of origin is going to match the country of origin of the devices you're putting on there, or will not let you add devices. Go ahead and click Save. And just that easily, we've added the first location. So it was pretty easy to set up the organization. It's pretty easy to set up the first location. I'm going to go ahead and click on this first location, and now we're kind of starting to see the location view that we saw previously when we jumped into the lab switch. Unfortunately, there's just no devices available, so none of this information is filled in. So before we add devices, let's go ahead and set up what we're going to want to set up. And we're going to jump into the wireless tab here. Again, it's going to give us this red warning saying we have no APs, but we'll fix that later. Over here on the right, we're going to click on the settings, and this will allow us to start modifying the settings of the access points that we don't even have enrolled into this organization yet. So to start, I want to add 2 SSIDs. The first SSID I'm going to add is just going to be the back office wireless. So we're going to name the SSD office. We're going to put in a password, so only the workers can get onto this wireless connection. And just that easily, we're going to head and click Save. It's going to take us to the settings for this in case we want to do any advanced settings, and we're good. So hit Save again. And we have added the first SSID. Now, Bill also wants a second SSID. He wants to be able to have wireless connections for his customers, but he also wants to be able to track his customers through his shop's Facebook page. NETGEAR Insight allows you to create a captive portal using Facebook Wi-Fi. We're going to show you how to set that up and show you how to have your customers log in to Facebook and check into their customers' locations to get access to the Wi-Fi in the location. So we're back here on the Wi-Fi page, and before we add the guest SSID, what I need to do is enable Facebook Wi-Fi. So I'm going to go here on the left side and click Facebook Wi-Fi, and there's just a little slider tab here. I'm going to go ahead and click on that to enable Facebook Wi-Fi. It's going to bring up a little registration button. I'm going to hit register. And I've already gotten Bill's Pizza Shop's Facebook information, their login and their password. So I've already pre-populated that. And it's going to bring up a pop-up window. And this is the Facebook Wi-Fi configuration. What I'm going to do is I'm going to attach it to Bill's Pizza's Facebook page. It does have a bypass mode, so if you have regular guests or you have promotions or whatever, you want people to be able to bypass the session length, you can go ahead and have them put in a password, or if you want them to be able to bypass checking in, they can go ahead and put in a password and they don't have to check in. So I put in a bypass password of free Wi-Fi. I'm going to limit the sessions to 2 hours, and there's optional terms of agreements I can put in there should I choose, but I'm not going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to hit save. And it's telling me, okay, I can close this window now. I'm going to go back here to the Pro dashboard, and I'm going to verify the page. And they have successfully paired the Insight Pro dashboard and the Facebook Wi-Fi, so we're good to go. I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And again, it's going to warn me that there's no APs found, but we'll take care of that a little bit later. So now that we have Facebook Wi-Fi enabled, we're going to set up the guest or the customer SSID. So we're going to go ahead and add a new one, just like we did before. And this SSID is going to be guest. And we're not going to put any security on it. So that looks good. And we're going to save and configure. It's going to take us to the configuration page. And over here on the left, there is a captive portal button. You can set up just a normal captive portal where it's just a normal login page. Hey, welcome. Please accept our terms of your service, and you get these free Wi-Fi. Or you can set up a Wi-Fi, Facebook Wi-Fi captive portal like we just did. And the advantage to the Facebook Wi-Fi captive portal is it requires customers to check into their customer's business on Facebook to get access to internet, which is, if anyone is familiar with Facebook, checking into a customer's location is almost like free advertisement for that customer's location. So the customer gets free Wi-Fi and the business gets advertisement on that customer's Facebook page. So a lot of people like this option. So we're going to go ahead and enable that, enable the captive portal. We're going to enable the Facebook Wi-Fi that we had already set up. We're going to hit save. And once we get some access points in place, we'll show you what that captive portal looks like. One last thing I want to do for the guest connection is I'm going to limit the amount of upload and download that each one of these connections can take, because I don't want it to bog down my entire network. So we're going to enable the limiter, and we're going to take the upload and limit it to 1 meg. We'll take the download and limit it to 5.5. So now the maximum amount of upload-download speed that the customers are going to get on this SSID is 5.5 down, 1 up. And there we are. We're back at the Wi-Fi page, and we've got our guest SSID set up and our office SSID set up. And we can continue through the setup process. We can set up wired settings. We can go in here and we can configure VLANs. We can configure spanning tree. We can do group port configurations as well. We can do PoE scheduling should we want to. But what we want to do now is start to add these devices to the network and kind of show them attaching themselves to the organization and getting all this information without us having to send a technician to the site, logging into each device individually and applying these settings individually. All right, so now that we have the location and the organization set up in the web portal, I'm actually going to jump into the mobile app, because I'm going to use the mobile app to enroll the devices into that organization. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my mobile device. I'm going to go ahead and click on the Insight app. And the Insight app hasn't changed very much from what we showed you in the past webcast. As you can see already, it's got the 2 organizations that we have set up available to us. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to click on Bill's Pizza. And once it kind of finishes loading in, we can see that we've got no devices set up to it. It's going to go ahead and list all the devices that it currently sees on the network we're on. But we don't want to add any of these devices. These are all the ones that are set up to the lab switch. We're going to add some new devices. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the plus in the top right. And we're going to start by scanning some QR codes. So we're going to take the devices we have back here that we just pulled out of these boxes. I'm going to start with the switch here. We're going to go ahead and find that QR code. It's going to fetch the information. It's going to go what location do you want to add this switch to. We want to add it to the 7th Street. I'm going to set this off to the side over here. So go ahead and name the device. We're going to name it switch. Hit enter. And now it's going to tell us that, hey, we're going to apply these settings to the serial number once it gets rebooted and it's connected to the cloud. We're going to hit continue. And there we go. We've got our first device. We've got our switch added on. And we jump back to the device pages. And once it kind of finishes loading in, we see it's got the switch and it's waiting for its first connection. So let's add the access point as well. We're going to hit that plus again. We're going to grab the access point this time, and we're going to put the QR code in there. Oop, put that over there. And again, just like we did before, we're going to add it to the 7th Street location. And we will name it just access point because I'm feeling creative today. AP. And just like the switch before it, it has now been added to our organization. So now we've already just added those 2 devices to the organization. The next thing we have to do is just plug in the devices and wait for them to get their first network connection. So what I'm going to do real quick here is I'm going to plug in these devices, then we're going to jump back into the dashboard once they've gotten their first connection, and we'll take a look to make sure all of our settings have been applied. So we are now back in the Insight Pro web portal, and as you can see, we've got our 2 organizations still. We'll go ahead and click on Bill's computer and click on the 7th Street location. We just used the mobile app to enroll those devices in. And as you can see, now we have the 1 AP and 1 switch on the dash on the network, and the AP and switch are set up as we configured. Actually, go to the wireless settings is here as well. Go into wireless settings. We have our SSIDs, how we set them up before. And of course, if I were to go to the access point and log into the guest Wi-Fi that we set up previously, it's going to look a little bit like this. You're going to have a splash page, a captive portal that comes up that shows you Bill's Pizza Shop, shows you all the information. And if you're logged into Facebook, it's going to have a little check-in button. Once you click that check-in button, the customer will then have the 2-hour Wi-Fi session that we set up, and it will be limited by the data limiter that we put in place. And it also gives that customer a little bit of social media exposure because customers are now checking in to their page, giving the customer a little bit more free advertisement just for free Wi-Fi. So I hope I've shown today the added tools that Insight Pro brings to the platform to allow VARs and MSPs better management over their customers. It allows you to manage multiple customers from a single pane of glass. It allows you to set up different managers for each customer, so your workforce knows exactly what customers they should be focused on at all times. Also, with this product only being available through distribution, it allows you as an MSP or a VAR to set your own price for how much you're willing to charge for these services for your customer. You can also go ahead and set up new customers on the dashboard without even having the physical hardware in place, and when that physical hardware arrives, all the customer needs to do, or all the tech needs to do, whichever you choose, is to plug in the hardware itself and connect it to the internet, and all those configurations will immediately load onto the hardware without you having to log into each individual piece to do firmware updates and do configurations yourself. With all that being said, I'm sure you have a couple of questions. If you do, stick around for the live Q&A following this webcast. If you're viewing this on demand or at a later date, please feel free to email us at solutionslab@dnh.com or dhss@dnh.com, and we'd be happy to answer your questions. But other than that, I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and we'll see you for the Q&A.